Hi everybody, my name is Jessie and I do perfume reviews in ASMR format. So if you enjoy perfume and also ASMR, you are in a good place for this video. Today I'm doing a review of Guerlain's Insolence, and this is the Eau de Parfum version. It's also, at least as of 2025, the newest version. I think there were two older versions. The first one probably came out quite a while ago. I'm actually curious to check the date later. And then there was a different bottle formulation that came out after that. Really, really pretty bottle. And then this is the most recent bottle and I guess formulation. And it was launched in 2021, so it's been out for about 4 or so years now. And like I said, it's the Eau de Parfum. There is an Eau de Toilette version. I think they smell fairly similar, but I have not. Actually, I have smelled them side by side. Yes, they do smell very similar. But I haven't really like worn them, both of them super regularly to be able to tell you like how they wear over time, one versus the other, all that. But anyway, so thought I would review this for you all today. This is a fragrance that's fairly new to my collection, but I absolutely love it. As you can see, it's in this beautiful, I think it's a beautiful classy bottle, purple in color, which is why today I have got on this beautiful purple kind of velour, and I've got some purple earrings as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this fragrance. And then I will go over the main accords and notes. So I've got my purple flower deck, which is perfect for today. Just got some, I don't know, what are those? Night something? I don't know what those are. They kind of almost look like bluebells. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give this a spray. And I'm going to give it a moment to dry down. So yeah, if you don't know, this fragrance is, it's a super violet-y fragrance. So if you are unfamiliar with the note of violet, this would be a great fragrance to check out. It's definitely a sweet violet, so kind of like a candied violet. Very powdery, girly, feminine, fun, kind of like whimsical, fairy type vibes. Yeah, I think of like fairy or like a little bit like princessy, but like outdoor princess, like very just like flowy with the wildflowers kind of vibe. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a smell, and I've owned this, I've worn this, but I'm just gonna smell it again and give you my first impressions. So yeah, it's such a delicate, beautiful, powdery, sweet flower. But the funny thing about violet is, to me, it's powdery. It has that kind of powdery, like makeup-y vibe. It also comes off as a bit dewy to me as well. So I don't know how that makes sense in my mind, that it can smell a bit powdery, which can, be a little like dry, powdery, makeup-y, but then it also, violet can smell a little dewy to me as well. So do with that what you will, but that's just how violet comes through to me. And yeah, it's, if you haven't ever smelled violet, it's a little hard to explain, but very feminine, a little bit old school, maybe a little bit like vintage, kind of a bit of a more of a baby vibe, like a baby powder vibe, but just a very delicate, pretty, lightly sweet floral. This is actually more than lightly sweet, but that's because there's some other notes in here that make it sweeter, I would say. So I'm getting the violet, and then I'm getting notes that make it sweeter. I honestly forget what they are. There's probably vanilla. There might be some other florals. I really don't remember all what's in here, but it's really just mostly like a candied violet to me. Really pretty, really whimsical, cute, pretty. So I'm gonna read you the main accords that we have listed on Fragrantica. Okay, so we have main accords of violet, of course, powdery, vanilla, iris, woody, sweet, fruity, earthy, floral, and white floral. So I'm definitely getting the violet main accord, the powdery, the vanilla. I guess there's an iris note in here. It's not super obvious to me, but iris can be powdery, kind of makeup-y as well. But this would definitely be more of a like sweet powdery iris. It's not coming through the way that iris can sometimes come through, very like earthy or almost carroty. I'm not getting anything super woody. I'm definitely getting some sweetness. That was one of the main accords. Fruity, yes. I totally forget though, like what makes sense that there's a fruit in here. I forget what. I would think something like pear, perhaps, or maybe it's raspberry. It might be raspberry. And then the other floral accords. There's got to be a couple other florals in here. I forget what. Maybe orange blossom or jasmine, freesia, something like that. So let's go ahead and look at the notes because it's been a while and I'm honestly excited to look at them again. Okay. All right. So fairly simple notes. These will be fun to go through. So for our top notes, we just have one top note and it is violet. So, and really violet is the star of the show here. I'm certain it's the main note that everyone else is smelling on Fragrantica, but I'll go over that in a second. It's the main note that I'm smelling here, just a very beautiful, sweet, candied violet, especially because of the addition of the other sweet notes in here. So yes, definitely getting that violet, and as I said, it comes off to me as powdery, but also kind of like dewy, and I don't know, I just think of like beautiful violets in the spring with a little bit of dewdrops on them and the sun's coming through, and that's kind of the picture that comes to mind for me. Okay, that brings us to the middle notes. We've got two middle notes, and they are wild strawberry and orange blossom. So orange blossom makes sense. It's a white floral. It can sometimes be actually very sweet, so that could definitely be adding. Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely getting that orange blossom. It's like adding to the definitely sweetness here. Orange blossom can kind of come through almost like just like sometimes the way it comes through to me is almost like a very candied kind of smell. And it can have a bit of that, like a little bit of that citrus quality to it as well. Okay, and then for our other middle note that I didn't mention yet, we have wild strawberry. So that also makes a lot of sense, and I feel like the wild... Have you ever actually had wild strawberry? Wild strawberries are actually very sweet, and they have this like beautiful concentrated, very sweet strawberry flavor. They're really good. And so that's just perfect for this fragrance because it has that, like I said, kind of outdoor whimsical nature fairy kind of vibe. So the wild strawberry is perfect, and it makes me think of, fairies are smaller, so wild strawberries would actually be like better for their size. Still a little big, I suppose, but so I'm definitely getting the violet, the wild strawberry, and the orange blossom. All of those notes make sense, and I do feel like I'm getting them. Okay, then for our base notes, that's where we have the most notes. We've got 4 base notes, and they are iris, vanilla, tonka bean, and sandalwood. So the iris, like I said, not super obvious to me. I wouldn't smell this and just be like, oh, I smell iris, but it makes sense that it's in here, adding to the base notes, adding a powderiness, and I would say more of a refined iris, not a kind of a earthy rooty unisex iris. It's definitely more refined, clean, powdery feminine. You know, that's what I would say, but I'm not really smelling it super obviously. Anyway, vanilla, yes, I would say I'm getting that. Makes sense. It's not like bam in your face vanilla, but it's there and it just adds a bit of sweetness and depth. And then tonka bean, that kind of has a vanilla like accord as well. A little bit more depth though. I'm not getting anything super heavy or deep in the base notes here. And honestly, I forget the last time I wore this, like how over time it changes, you know, with the dry down, but it never really turns into anything super heavy or ambery or woody. So these base notes are nice, but they're subtle. It's never gonna wind up being, you know, like I said, super ambery or woody or anything like that. Sandalwood makes sense. That's a lighter, more powdery wood. So while I can't like pick that out with my nose, in my case in particular, it makes sense. But to really just sum up what I'm getting most from this fragrance, it would be the violet, followed by the wild strawberry and orange blossom, and then followed by like a little touch of vanilla. And honestly, I can't personally really smell like the iris, tonka bean, or sandalwood, but those also make sense in just rounding out the picture. So if I show the votes on Fragrantica, what other people say they get most, they say they get violet, followed by iris, vanilla, wild strawberry, tonka bean, orange blossom, and then sandalwood. So that's a little different than what I'm saying I'm getting. The iris is not super obvious to me, but I guess, I don't know. It maybe if it's like the cleanest, most clean makeup-y iris, I guess I could see that more. And yeah, I'm, like I said, I'm definitely getting some of that orange blossom and wild strawberry. So yeah, just such a beautiful fragrance. I feel like this is one, I don't know if you can find it at most department stores, like at the counters to smell. Like, I don't know if you could find it at Nordstrom to smell. I don't think you could find it at Macy's to smell. Maybe. If you could, that would be great, so you don't have to like blind buy a bottle. Of course, you could also try to buy a sample online, but that can be a little bit tricky. I think sometimes with Guerlain, Guerlain Insolence, it's a little harder to find samples. But yeah, try to get your nose on this, especially if you like floral, feminine, delicate, powdery scents. Really beautiful. So I'll come back to this in a minute, but I wanted to take a little detour and tell you about the only other Guerlain fragrance that I own, and this is the Aqua Allegoria Coconut Fizz. It is discontinued, so I'll just touch on it real briefly, but the liquid is a beautiful light blue. The color might be going off a little. I feel like it's looking a little bit more kind of like yellow ambery at this point, but that's just because I've had this for probably 3 or so years. Still smells lovely and like it did originally, at least from the top there. I haven't worn it in at least a year probably. I just have not been able to get to wearing things as much because I've been pregnant and then pregnant again, and then so anyway. But just to go over the notes on this real briefly, well, the whole vibe, it's just like a very beautiful kind of dewy aquatic coconut. So it's definitely got a bit of that like tropical sunscreen vibe, but in a very light, floral, delicate, watery way. So it has coconut, but the note's actually coconut nectar, bergamot to lighten it up a little. It has what's called water fruit, which is just a synthetic note, but it's supposed to just kind of evoke like a very dewy, aquatic, fruity vibe. There's also freesia, so some really pretty white floral, and then tonka bean and sandalwood in the base. So really beautiful, light, watery, aquatic, tropical fragrance. That's a mouthful. But like I said, discontinued. So just try to find something else. If this sounds good to you, Google what maybe is similar to it, and I would go for something like that. Because this is probably really hard to find at this point, or very expensive. But that's the only other Guerlain fragrance that I own. Yeah, there's probably a lot of other Guerlain fragrances that I would love, but I'm not super familiar with them, in part just because they're a more expensive brand. I know they're a really good quality brand, great reputation, but I am not out here trying to spend hundreds of dollars on fragrances. So if I had the money, if I chose to, spend a lot of money on a fragrance, I would buy, what is it called? It's called, like, Sherry or something. Let's see. Sherry Rose. Yeah. It's from their, I think it's their, like, arts and materials collection, which is their very expensive line. But it's called Rose Cherie. Sorry, Rose Cherie. So that's Cherie. Really beautiful fragrance. It's got rose, it's got violet again, so it's a little bit in the realm of this, but definitely quite a bit of rose. Just a beautiful, delicate, very feminine scent. So if I had a bunch of money and I wanted to splurge, I might buy that one, but that's like literally $400, so I don't think that'll ever be happening for me anytime soon. So back to Guerlain's Insolence. I do real fast just want to check when what the dates were of the earlier releases. So the first ever release of Insolence by Guerlain, the original bottle, which honestly is not that cute to me. It's interesting, I guess, but it's like kind of like it's like little spheres stacked on each other. That one was released in 2008. Interesting. I honestly thought it was like 90s. So that one was released in 2008. You can probably still buy it on eBay and stuff, but it's obviously discontinued. I don't know if it would even smell good that many years later. Then there was the second bottle reformulation, which is a really cute, pretty bottle. I don't know if I like it better or worse than this one. I just like it differently. Maybe I like it better. It's very feminine. It's a very feminine bottle, and it's kind of like frosted glass. That one was released in 2017, so 9 years later. And then this one, like I said, was released in 2021, so only 4 years later. I'm not sure why they have kept changing the bottle, and I'm not totally even sure if they've reformulated the scent itself, but just wanted to make that clear. And like I said too, there's an eau de toilette version for this and the other two versions as well. Pretty similar smell. I think the liquid is more of a pink color. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna just finish up this review by reading a few other people's reviews, because I've told you how much I like it and kind of my impression of it. So I'll just read a few other people's reviews. Somebody says, a sensual boudoir-inspired composition. Violet plays with the pronounced opening notes in a powdery register. Over time, the fragrance softens, yet remains distinctly present through accords of sweet violet and powder, a deeply feminine scent that lasts throughout the day. Yeah, I do remember that this does last quite a long time. I don't feel like it's a monster projector for quite a long time, but you can, at least when I sprayed it on my clothes, I smelled it for quite a long time after. It's just so addictive. Okay, let's see. Somebody else says, This perfume was a gift from a family member. It's my guilty pleasure because it gives me bad memories vibes. I'm not sure if that's like a movie or something or what, but it gives me bad memories vibes. It's nostalgic, a little sad. It's my I don't know how to explain it other than bad memories, even though I have no memories attached to the scent. I like it though. So, yeah, I have heard some people say that violet can smell a little bit like melancholic. I'm not sure why. It doesn't give me that impression. It doesn't make me smell sad. Maybe I could see nostalgic. It almost reminds me of childhood in some way. I don't know why. Because we didn't grow up with any scents in my home, like none at all. Nothing even scented. My mom is like basically the most masculine woman ever. So I don't know why, but this, I could see nostalgic, but not sad. But some people seem to think violet can smell a bit sad. I don't know why. Maybe it's the purple color just makes people think of something like that. Okay, somebody else says, this is my most used fragrance. It's just everything you want with a perfume. The violet and iris are the stars of the show. Powdery, dewy, and cozy. Versatile for everywhere and an all-year rounder. Clean and projects well. Great longevity. For me, it's a safe blind buy and has a niche quality. Very natural smelling and not synthetic. So they also used the word dewy, which I agree. I feel like it's like powdery and dewy. And they said powdery too. So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna find a native review just to get a little contrast here. Somebody says, Insolence by Guerlain is a violet-forward fragrance that exudes a playful, coquette charm. The violet here is sweet and romantic with a bright, lively feel. There's a hint of amber that adds a touch of vibrancy. The berries add a juicy note, but they remain clean and fresh, never becoming sticky. So I don't know why they're giving a negative review, a negative rating, because that sounded pretty positive, but I guess that was another positive review. Okay, an actually negative review. Somebody says, I can't see how this flat, artificial, nauseating smell fits any of the descriptions given by other people. The wild strawberry note is recreated very poorly here. A wild strawberry, quite different from a cultivated strawberry, has this unusual vanilla scent, which is borderline strange, so I'm trying to create it here, and it did not, so they're trying to create it here, and it did not work. It's heavy, almondy in a bad way, strange and artificial. No idea how it got such high marks. So they're saying it smells very artificial. I could see that. I feel like it kind of smells to me like a mix of natural and artificial. And I don't really know how to say that besides it very much evokes nature, but it has such a sweetness to it that you would never find this level of sweetness in any natural floral or natural fruit. Like, I think it's the sweetness to me that sends it over the edge and makes it smell definitely more like a perfume, like a created product. So, to me, I would say it smells a bit natural and a bit artificial, personally. Okay, let's read one last review. Somebody says, it smells like a perfume for an 8-year-old child. I smell no violets, just unnatural sweet candy. To my great disappointment, I'll be returning it. So, yeah, I guess some people, this could smell very much like kind of baby powdery, child-esque. But definitely does smell violety to me. Very, very violety from everything that I've ever understood about violets. So anyway, everybody, that is my review. I hope you enjoyed. So that's Guerlain's Insolence Eau de Parfum. Yeah, and if you're interested in other violet fragrances, sorry, I heard a weird sound. I have on my channel two parts actually to a violet, like a violet fragrances video. So just search like violet in my videos and you will find more violet fragrances. So anyway, sending you all peace, love, beauty, and harmony, and I will catch you all again soon. Okay, bye.